time. News First, face to face with Shalan Benedict.
Party, and then people break off from the opposition and come in, but none of them have really succeeded. To discuss these matters and much more that is definitely happening here in the political arena in Sri Lanka, we've got with us today Samagijana Balavege parliamentarian Harshana Rajakaruna. A very good evening, Mr. Rajakaruna, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, and have a good evening.
So, starting off first, now there have been many things that are happening in the political arena here in Sri Lanka, given the fact that we are leading up to a presidential election. One thing that has always dominated the headlines in Sri Lanka, especially when it comes close to an election, is this discussion on corruption. Now, speaking on corruption, recently there was a judgment from the Supreme Court that held that certain decisions that were taken by the higher-ups in government were identified as the responsible, they were identified as those responsible for the economic crisis, that they contributed in a certain way, and they had violated the rights of the general public by doing so. So this raises the question of accountability, corruption. They're all very intertwined. Still believe that the Samagijana Balavege is not going to really deliver on these promises. On anti-corruption.
So good evening, and thank you for having me. So if I may start this conversation by asking you, why did we form SJB? You know, we were all part of the UMP in 2015 government, the Yahapalne government.
Yes.
So Yahapalne government came into power by one of the main objectives, or one of the main objectives what people wanted was to make sure that we curtail corruption. Unfortunately, though how much we fought within the party, within the government, we knew that it's not going to ever happen, because we saw in that 2015 UMP government there were behind the scene some sort of deals happening. So that was the reason that we broke away from the UMP. You have to understand that. The whole point of us, probably not only me, most of my colleagues, probably the hardest decision they have ever made in their lives. Certainly for me, it was one of the hardest decisions. So we broke away from the SJB purely because one of the main reasons would be that. I wouldn't say that's the only reason. The whole country was asking for a change of leadership in the UMP. So that was also a reason. But one of the main reasons was that, you know, we didn't get what we expected when it comes to curtailing corruption. So SJB, the birth of the SJB, the objective of that is that we need to put a full stop, curtail corruption. So that is our aim, and I believe we can have all sorts of independent commissions, we can have all sorts of new amendments to the law or new laws, but unless there is political will, absolutely there won't be what we are looking for.
So, speaking of this political will, there is absolutely no point, as the saying goes, to close the stable doors after the horse is bolted. Now, let's speak about the formation of the SJB. Now, the SJB began right after I believe, former presidential candidate Sajith Premadasa contested the election and did not win the ticket, lost to Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He contested under the UNP ticket. So, if I may ask you, at which point of time during the 2015 Yahapalane government did it become evident to you and your colleagues that the government is really not doing what they say, and to put it in your own words, having a lot of behind closed door deals?
So, I mean, we were newcomers in 2015, right? So we were all pushing for it. We had that we had that enthusiasm, and so we were all pushing for it. But we always thought that it's a matter of time that it'll happen, because that was the idea that was given by the leaders, that
it's coming.
It's coming. You know,
much like Sri Lanka becoming a developed nation for the longest time. Now I think the expectation is 2048. So it's coming.
It's coming. So, but when we knew in the last year that it is never going to happen.
Okay.
And so that was the main reason that we were having discussions internally that we need to change the leadership. So we were not planning to change a breakaway from the SJB. We wanted to change the leadership of the UNP. And unfortunately, the very last minute, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe didn't allow that to happen, and we had no choice than
breaking
away. But I have to say this. By looking back 3.5 years of what we have done, and what has happened to the UMP, and what has happened to the SJB, I have to say that I believe that we made the right choice, and I'm very happy that we formed this new group. Otherwise, we would be also singing happy birthday to my President Mahinda Rajapaksa's birthday. I mean, how could you? I mean, my point, I have nothing personally issue that he's celebrating his birthday or somebody wishing, but the whole point is beyond that. You know, it's not like you saying happy birthday. It's just that the leader of the UMP, the current president, is protecting them, protecting the Rajapaksas, protecting the SLPP, and he's the main warrior protecting all of them. So I am happy that I've broken away with 90%, 95% of the UMPs, or even more, and we can be confident that we don't have any deals or behind the scene discussions with the SLPP.
So, as far as the aspirations of the people go, one thing...
If I may add one more thing, and this is right after the
Supreme Court
verdict. This is right after. Just
on the same day.
On the same day, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Or one day. One day later.
I think it was like within 48 hours. So I mean, I believe that they should resign from Parliament, right? And Gotabaya Rajapaksa's expenses are covered by
the people. The
taxpayers. So I mean, we should stop these things. Ajit Nimar Cabral must be still getting his pension. So these things should be stopped. So that is the reason that we, the SJB, has started a petition to get rid of their civic rights. And if not, we are hoping to get some sort of compensation through another court case. So we are talking about that, and we are getting legal consultation, and we strongly believe that.
So, speaking about accountability, and what I was saying was really the aspiration of the people. When you go out there and you talk to the people, especially when we go on the Gammadda movement, so on and so forth, people have lost faith in Sri Lanka's economy. The middle class might be having some sort of hope, at least for the future, because without hope, what are we? But there is a section of this society that is hopeless. They know that there is no way out, or at least they think that there is no way out of this misery that they're going through, because they were suffering. They were suffering back in 2018, 2019. They were suffering. But now, life for them is just unimaginable. It's endless torment. And for these people, which is a majority of Sri Lanka, given the fact that quite a sizable percentage of Sri Lankans are now living below the poverty line, for these Sri Lankans who are the worst affected by this economic crisis, their main aspiration and goal is to hold the people, the leaders who led this country into this economic crisis, to account. They do not want them to be getting a slap on the wrist and continuing to live on their lives after they have earned for generations and generations to come. Now, do you believe that the SJB has such a strong political will to go after these people who are responsible, everybody who are responsible, even as recent as the immunoglobulin scam, where people died, where there was medicine brought and people lost their sight? Do you think that there is that much of political will on the side of the SJB?
I 100% believe so. I think our leader, the opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, has that political will, and the team he has also believes in that, and so that is the reason we formed the SJP. One of the main reasons that we formed the SJP, and that is the reason, if you look at how we have behaved in the last 3.5 years. So we have always stuck to these policies. We have not had any dealings, underhand dealings, or you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. You know, we have always been very thorough in what we have been saying. Yes, we have that political will. We will make sure that we get the international support on this. For example, even now we have approached the United Nations,
asset recovery,
especially on this program called STARS, Stolen Asset Recovery Program. So for all that, you need the government to approach. So we have studied these programs. We will get that support, and not only the international support. We have the independent commissions, we have the bribery commissions, but all these things would be activated, and we'll be able to get 100% out of those institutions only if you have that political will. For example, the if when the election commission gave 2 dates for the local council election, the executive, the president, clearly was not helping the election commission to go ahead with the election. So, I mean, there's no point in how good the members are, how good their decisions are, if that political will is not there. So, that's a clear example. Not only that, I mean, even the judiciary, right? So, the political will is very important, and I believe SJB and SJB leader Sajid Premadasa has that political will.
Well, now, the SJB or members of the SJB have been in power before. They've held positions of government, and to the eyes of the general public, at least, a strong contender with the SJB in this fight against corruption, a fight against the reason why all of us are here economically, socially, financially, why we are here today, is the Jatika Janabala Vegya, out of all the political parties in Sri Lanka. And there are those who believe that the JJB has never been in a proper position of power. I believe under Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga, they held several ministerial portfolios. However, within the span of a year, or maybe even less than that, they resigned from those ministerial portfolios due to a breakdown, of course, with the relationship between the two parties. So they've never really gotten a chance or a go at trying to get rid of corruption in Sri Lanka. There are those who believe that members of the SJB have had their chance. several chances, in fact, maybe not newcomers like yourself, but more senior members, of course, who will most probably be in a higher position of power, a higher position of government, having a bigger say under an SJB government. So there are those who believe that the JJB would probably be better at it, and we should probably give them a shot too. What do you have to say to these people?
I don't think this JJB, I don't believe in that. Because what is JJB? Jatika Jana Balavega, there's no JJB, that's JVP. JJB is a camouflage. Because they have such a bad reputation, JVP, they want to camouflage by putting couple of other people, and they have this new name called JJP. But the decision makers are the JVPs, and the JVP policy will be there. So, first of all, when you said that they never got the chance, no, they always had the chance. From 1994, right, they were in government. Then who brought Mahinda Rajapaksa? Chandrika Kumaratunga didn't want Mahinda Rajapaksa to win. It's no secret. It was JVP, and I can show you the video clips how much they talk about in Parliament, how strong and how hard they worked to bring Mahinda Rajapaksa. So now Mahinda Rajapaksa has been, now the courts have made him and his brothers, they have made a judgment saying that they have bankrupt this country. So, and they also part of, shouldn't they be blamed? So, not only that, even when it came to other presidential elections, like Maithripala Sirisena, all that, they were directly and indirectly helping even Maithripala Sirisena.
So, but didn't the SJB feel I mean, the UNP, your mother party, your initial party, didn't they field Maithripala Sirisena?
No. My point is, you were saying that JJB
didn't get an opportunity.
JVB didn't get an opportunity. No, I disagree with that. They were directly and indirectly in government, as well as making leaders in this country, and they played a big role. So you can't just say that I'm now all born again and I have not done any sin before, right? So definitely they are part of it, and
maybe someone could say, well, indirectly, yes, they have been part of Sri Lanka's political structure.
Directly. How can
so
you say indirectly when they
directly been in power?
Yes, how many ministries did they have, and how many parliamentarians did they have? Almost 40 parliamentarians they had during Chandrika Kumaratunga's government. So they had cabinet ministries, they had deputy ministries, so on. So,
is the SJB of the opinion, like, when did the economic crisis start? Now, there are various opinions. The people who are in government right now, the SLPP says that, this is bad policy since the day of independence. They also say that we are in this economic crisis because of the JVP riots that happened in the 80s and the 70s.
All I'm saying, if they say that this was due to, like, say, 3 decades or whatever, JVP is also responsible for that, not only everyone else other than them.
Okay,
right? That's all I'm saying. But I have to say, now if somebody believes in JVP led alliance or whatever, that they will lead this country to another level, you have to understand simple fact. Tell me a single country in this world that has this policy, the policy they are talking about. If Sri Lanka,
you're referring to socialism?
Absolutely.
But they are no longer hardline.
They don't know where they are. If they are not socialist, you look at last year's May Day rally. Before Rohana Vijay picture portrait, they had Karl Marx, they had Lenin's. So Karl Marx, Lenin is a capitalist, right? I mean, who's fooling whom? Definitely they are socialists. And what you think international community will support a socialist government? You think IMF will? Right? So people, I want to make clearly give this message to the public that, it will be Gota part 2. It will be Gota part 2. So you have to, sometimes people might be angry, but you can't make the wrong choice again. We don't have the time to experiment. Right? This is not the time to experiment. No trial and error. So I mean, you can't say, it's just only 5 years now. No way, we can't experiment. So if Sri Lankans want this country to be a North Korea, vote for JVP-led alliance. Right? So I mean, I don't think even if you look at the past few months, they have not, when it comes to corruption, they have always not come to the forefront.
They have not come to the
forefront. They have not come to the forefront.
Are you sure?
It was the SJB. It was the SJB that went to courts. It was our legal head, SJB legal head, Mr. Upulja Surya. It was our working committee members who put the court case, not the JVP. No, they didn't do that. So it was the SJB which went to the courts, got this verdict, and we will make sure we will make sure that we do beyond this, beyond this verdict. We are trying our level best. So SJP will lead that.
So you were saying that under a JJP government, the possible future for Sri Lanka is grim. It's as grim as becoming another North Korea. Well, we saw that under an SLPP government. We were almost heading towards a North Korea in the sense that we had to stand in line for fuel, we had to stand in line for gas, we had to stand in line for food, we didn't have medicine. We were sinking as a country under the SLPP. And of course, during the time of the Yahapalne government, the central bank bond scam took place. People's pension funds have been affected by the bond scam and now by the economic crisis. So what do you have to say to those who argue saying, well, the SLPP is capitalist, the UNP was capitalist, and both of those governments almost led Sri Lanka to a North Korea. But now you're saying that a JGB government would definitely lead Sri Lanka to a North Korea. How do you balance those two arguments?
I have to say, during the Yahapalane between 2015 to 2019, things were not, you can't even compare that to what happened in 2020.
Definitely.
Right? You can't even compare. If you look at it, what we have done, we have done a lot to the society, and also even the cost of living, things like that. We had done far better than 2015. In 2019 we did better than 2015. So we had done better. The bond scam was a disaster, right? And but at least that amount of 11 billion or so was frozen. So you can't say that
nothing was done.
Nothing was done. So we have to say that. Unfortunately, the main reason for this bankruptcy was the decision when Gotabaya Rajapaksa decided to give tax levy. That was the first. That was the first instance where he gave tax cuts for about 600 billion rupees. So we had lost 600 billion rupees into 2 years. Then the dollar was fixed at 203 rupees, And
so there were many decisions that led to the economic crisis.
Those were the main decisions.
Mr. Rajakaruna, we have time for just one last question in the final few minutes of the program. So Sri Lanka has been seeing many governments, as I said at the beginning. There have been single-party governments, there have been two-party governments, there have been broad coalitions, and none of them seems to have really worked in Sri Lanka. Now we have a form of a coalition. I don't know what we can really call it. But moving forward, the SJB, what's the plan like? Is it a single-party government? Is it a coalition? Now, speaking of the JJB and the SJB and how people are, looking at an alternative other than the current people in power, is there also talks of an alliance between the two? What kind of future are you looking at?
Now the government is like it's like a raped government, right? It's unfortunately it's a government without a mandate. It's a president without a mandate. It's a president who couldn't win the parliamentary seat, who had come to the parliament through the national list, and he was backed by his opposition to be the president. So it's completely confused parliament and a head of state. So what I proposed, what the SJB is proposing is today, actually it's a personal proposal that I gave today. I believe that we need a fresh mandate. We need a fresh mandate and a new parliament and a new head of the state. For that, the best thing that we can do is have a election. I propose that we should have the presidential election and the parliamentary election on the same very day.
Together. So
we
can clearly choose.
Yeah, we can have two ballot papers. It will save billions of rupees. It will save billions of rupees, and also it will save time, money, both. And it's an ideal way of getting a fresh leader for the country with a fresh mandate and a parliament with a fresh mandate.
And a clear future for Sri Lanka, because people will be able to properly decide at one point of time, where is Sri Lanka going to go? Who are we going to allow to lead Sri Lanka into this future that we all pray and that we all hope for and that we all want? Thank you very much, Parliamentarian Harshana Rajakaruna from the Samagi Jana Balawegya, for joining us on our program today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all our viewers out there for tuning in for another episode of Face to Face. Until we meet again, and God bless.